What's going on, everybody? So before I begin this video, I just wanted to mention that I'm unemployed, looking for an IT job. If you know of any openings, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, I put my LinkedIn profile on the bottom right of the screen, also being in the description. So if you know of any opportunities, please let me know. Contact me on LinkedIn. Uh, anyway, if you want to know more about this, my previous video explains it. I'll probably do a separate video also. But today I wanted to talk to you about Civilization 7. Now, I wanted to talk about this game because, well, when the game was announced and all the and then the information started coming out about it over the months and weeks and such, I wasn't too impressed. It just didn't feel like Civilization 7, going from 6 to 7 to whoa, okay, this is a big difference. Going from Distant Worlds 1 to Distant Worlds 2, things like that, where you're just like, okay, there's stuff here going on here, right? Worth an upgrade, right? So Civilization 7 right now is $70. $70. And as you can see, it has mixed reviews. Now, I've been going through my YouTube on my off time, and I haven't watched many reviews, maybe just one, maybe two, and it doesn't look good. It doesn't sound good from what people have been saying. One of the people that I watch a lot is Angry Joe. And he's a big time YouTuber, as you can see, 3.2 million followers, and they were like 50-50 with this game. They said it's basically unfinished, that there are things with the GUI, the graphical user interface, like certain, I forgot what part of the video, but basically you had one box over another, and it wasn't fleshed out, just even something like this he was complaining about. It's just how do I get to that? Do I need this and this to get to this? He also said they took out certain things, like when you click on bronze working, it would auto populate, so it'd say, all right, I want bronze working. That's the number one thing I want. So it's okay, to get to there, you need mastery, you need this, and it would go through these. So you wouldn't actually have to go into the tech tree. It would actually do it for you because your primary goal is bronze working. So you can kind of take a step back. So he mentioned some graphical user interface issues, which can be easily solved with the software update. This can probably be fixed with software update. But, he also noticed the animations when you go into combat. It's just kind of weird. Like when two armies collide, it skips over an animation. It's just as soldiers approach each other, it just fast forwards it. It's just kind of weird. As you can see, just like that. Let's just go back I don't know, a couple of seconds here. That was really quick, and in Civilization 6, obviously that wasn't a thing. In Civilization 6, it was much more animated, it was much more enjoyable to watch. He was also mentioning things when you have so much stuff on the board. Also, one thing that he was mentioning is he chose Confucius as his leader, and every time they would click accept or reject, he was expecting different animations by the character, right? And so whether he would reject or accept, or in various cases of diplomacy, the guy would just do every time just the same animation. And it was just weird because he was just did they not include more than one animation? I mean, for me, that's not a big thing. I really don't like these animated characters, but he was saying that was one of the things that he enjoyed. And basically all these characters do the same thing, whether it's accept or reject. And as you can see, that's basically all he does every time. And he doesn't talk. Which is kind of weird. He says if you don't play that character, he talks, but if you play that character, he doesn't talk. Weird. And then when they go into combat, right? Like, to me, we're in theater mode, so, and let's make sure we're at 720p. Okay, so as you can see, like, to me, this is a little bit of a cluttered mess. Honestly, like, it's hard to kind of distinguish, like, the buildings and the units and where units are. Like, I could see there's units here, right? But then when you're in the urban conflict, I'm like, what is that? Like, who is here? I'm assuming there's soldiers with, swords. And it gets kind of, like, messy. And that was one of the things they also mentioned, that it's like, Little Joe, I think that's what he calls himself, or code name or whatever, was saying, is just like, dude, I don't even know which forces are yours or which forces are the enemies, right? So, it doesn't. Yeah, he had a lot of complaints about it. Oh, and the other big one was he wasn't able to get to that age. He didn't play it for long enough because apparently there's ages in the game, right? And they're like 100 to 200 turns. So an age takes a long time to get through, which is kind of weird. But he was saying that other YouTubers or another person he was following was like at war or close to at war or whatever the case was, like, your empire is at war with this other empire, or they're close at war, and the age changes, and then everything resets. So all the relations go back to neutral, right? And I think even, like, if you're at war, you go back to just not being at war, something like that. And it was just like, what? Like, it's just completely unimmersive. Like, something like that is like, so if I'm going to go to war with, like, if I'm the Americans, or I choose, like, the English, right? And I want to go to war with Mongolia, right? And I set up my soldiers in these hexes, right? And I get the relations to the point where they're, like, really bad. We're on the brink of war, or we're at war, right? And then we go into the next age, right? And then all my units are, I think, moved from those hexes, and relations are back to neutral. And it's just like, what? So for me, it was just really weird. And then when you go to the Metacritic gives it an 80. Now, I don't like the way Metacritic, a lot of these sites, they always have, like, they get the game for free. And I'll be honest, as somebody that does get Steam codes from game developers and publishers, to say, hey, like, check out this game, and if you could do a review on it, right? I'll look at the game and I'll play the game, and if I don't like it, I generally won't post a video. I'll just, like, yeah, I'm not even. Or if a game is really, like, bad or something like that, I'll make a video and put something bad in there. But yeah, so that's from me. Like, I don't try to say, like, with these companies, like, I would say, Polygon. I'm not just focusing on Polygon, but just those big tier AAA game review sites. A lot of them have, like, this, not compulsion, but this, what's the word? Not obligation, but it's kind of almost expected. You get a free copy of the game, right? You might even get, like, a promo pack with, like, a backpack and all this stuff. So they're kind of like, we need a positive review kind of thing. So in a way, they're kind of a little bit pushed to get that. So I always try to, like, look at the other reviewers, right? Angry Joe is one that I really like, because he was mentioning a lot of the games that he buys. That he reviews. He actually buys. He, like, buys with his own money. Obviously, he can, because he has 3.2 million viewers, right? So $50 for him is like, or $70 for him is, like, nothing, right? And then if he buys it for a couple others, he was going over the prices, like, that's 70 plus if I get this, it's going to be like $300 for a game that's like that, right? So he mentions that in his review. Going to the 190, mostly 64% new good mechanics we face with clever game design, but I think releasing an incomplete game and providing half the content through DLC. Oh, by the way, that was another thing that he mentioned in the game, is the game doesn't go past 1940. Really weird, really odd. I think it's the first Civ game that does that. And some people are saying that DLC is kind of where it's going to expand. Really nice, really nice. So to go to the modern era, you have to pay the $70 plus $20 or $30 to get to the modern era. 2K game, seriously. Reviewers don't know what they're writing. The game is terrible. It doesn't have much in common with Civilization series. Lack of builders and shortening of actions and turns. The complete remodeling of the gameplay mechanics. When our family got the PC back in, we were introduced to the PC game and pirate DOS games at one point. You guys remember those 1.4 millimeter floppies? One of our games was Civ 1. After 30 years, I think I'm done with Civ, which feels sad. It just, by the way, I forgot. When Civ did, Leonard Nimoy did the voice acting behind it, which I thought was kind of cool. Bad What Happened to Builders, so hard to get into and connect with. The UI is absolutely trash. It was $90. Shocking effort, enough for me to swear off the franchise. I mean, like, it's bad. Like, the game's success and mechanics are changed for no reasonable reason. The game doesn't look like a Civ game. It requires a lot of work. And there are many bugs and graphical imperfections. One can only hope this will be achieved through patches. It's not Civ, it's just as simple as that. The dev stores, let's try something different this time. I've seen Kickstarter games released in beta stage with more features than this game. Wow. That should be like the title of this video. So as you can see, and then you go into, the mixed reviews for Steam. I've been playing Civilization for 30 years. I appreciate that they innovated, tried new ideas rather than recycling the same game over and over. They made that attempt at Civ with some good and very bad ideas. Personally, like the leader choices, the Civ choices, the art style, music, how upgrades and resource exploitations work. That said, the way ages are implemented makes it feel like 3 mini games rather than one cohesive game. I think for me, that is the end. Like, when you make ages and then you have to restart, like, all the diplomacy and everything, you're done. I'm done. Goodbye. Like, $70, even if I had a job, like, no. Even if I had my old job, double the salary, I still wouldn't. It just, you see non-recommended after non-recommended, and it's just, I mean, even positive reviews. Overall, the game play seems okay, but the ending felt underwhelming and abrupt to only 3 ages being available. Like, even the good reviews are not good. So it just makes me just shocked about the way they did Civilization 7. I thought they could do more. Honestly, if they just built upon the successes of Civilization 5 or 6, right? Expanded the game, right? Added Mars, maybe, like colonized the moon, right? Like my original idea, what I hoped they were going to do was basically have the base game, right? And then you get to the modern era, right? Then you land on the moon, and then go from there, right? Colonize the moon like you did Earth, right? Add those geopolitics, and then how it affects, Earth, and then the moon, and then go from the moon to Mars and stuff like that, and how the geopolitics affect that, and then maybe the moon colony decides to break away, and how, you could have done so much more. But no, they just said, all right, let's just change out the way the entire game runs, and it's just, it just shocks me that if you have something that works, why take that, rechange the whole balance, risk a bad reviews, which they got, and then in the hopes, I don't know what in the hopes what they were trying to accomplish, in hopes of more money or better success or what, but they could have just took 5 and 6, say, all right, what can we do to make this game better? Let's improve the art style. Let's make more music. Let's make more diplomatic actions. Let's bring in the moon. Let's make in Mars. Let's expand on this, right? Instead of changing it. So, that's just my 2 cents for this review. I think they really destroyed Civilization. And you have Sid Meier's here. I don't know if he kind of led this, if he was behind this entire change, but the Civilization I grew up with is very different than the Civilization that is now. I play Civ 6. But I don't know. I was always hoping for more. And then you have these other companies that basically are trying to copy Civilization 6 and just not even copying it and just saying, all right, let's change. Let's differentiate ourselves. They just basically copy and paste it with a different title and say, oh, and by the way, we're going to make cultures, merge, and that's going to be our differentiating factor. And it's just like, so basically your Civilization with just 1 or 2 different features. Do something different. Be innovative. Take risks, right? Don't copy and paste. And you see that with so many games, AAA games. You see that with so many, right? In my last video, I talked about the Sony game that was canceled after hundreds of millions of dollars being poured into it, and it was only active for 2 weeks. So, and the reason they canceled that was because it was copy and paste of the other games like Team Fortress. So, anyway. Indie games is where it's at. I feel like the AAA games are now being run by executives that are like, hey, we made $500 million from Civ 5, so let's keep the same thing. We'll change a few things, and then publish it. And then other publishers are doing the same things. Like Civ 5 made $500 million. I'm just throwing a figure out there. Let's change a few things. And see if we can get our hands on $500 million, right? Like, they don't take risks. They're not innovative. And it's usually the executives, because they have no idea. They have no idea about art. They have no idea about innovation. They have no idea about, what can be done. They just see money, and they're like, they made that much money. Let's try to just replicate that, change a few things so we don't get sued, and see if we can make something close to that, and that's what it comes down to. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Catch you next one. See you then.